Welcome back, guys. Recently, a company called Dehancer reached out to me and asked me to do an honest review of their software. I'd never heard of Dehancer before, but after checking out their website and their demonstration materials, I thought the software looked really cool and I took them up on their offer. Here we are, a month later. I'm going to tell you guys all about my experience using the Dehancer Photo plugin in Affinity Photo 2. I should also mention that they have a really great iOS app. I won't dive too deeply into that, but near the end of this video, I will give a brief demonstration of it, followed by a slideshow featuring some of the looks and results you can get using either the plugin or app. So I hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, right from the jump, I wanted to share a little anecdote about the installation process with you, and then I'll quickly walk you through the installation process so that you don't make the same mistake that I did. Essentially, after I downloaded the installer package, I quickly skimmed through this README file here. By the time I got to the 8th or 9th page, I thought, okay, I've got this. This all looks familiar. And then I walked myself through the installation process. Everything seemed to go very well, but by the time I opened up Affinity Photo to use the plugin showed up, but it didn't work. So I'm hoping that this little anecdote will save you guys, some of you anyway, the headache that I experienced, which was no fault of Dehancer's. It was just my own impulsiveness. First things first, read through this. Maybe you'll remember this video if you decide to download the plugin and use it. Just read through the setup guide. It's got everything you need. Essentially, it looks like this. The Intel-based versions use this ARM64 installer. Apple Silicon-based versions of Mac use this x86 version of the installer. I'm on an M1 Mac Mini, so I used this x86 version. Once you get it installed, what you need to do is you need to go in and open up Affinity Photo and go to Settings and then go to Photoshop Plugins. You'll see that the Dehancer Film plugin shows up with a status of unknown. In order to use unknown plugins, you need to allow Affinity Photo to use them. So you just click the allow. Then what you'll do is you'll go over here to Plugin Search Folders, Library, Application Support, Adobe, Plugins, and then CC. You want to go in and click Add here. Add that folder to both the Plugin Support and the Plugin Search folder area. Once you've done this, basically close out Affinity Photo. You'll go to your Applications folder and then Get Info. Now, check it out. If you are on an M1 Mac Mini, you need to click this box. That is the little step that I missed that really frustrated me for like 10 minutes until I realized that I need to go back and read the setup guide one more time. Maybe I missed something. If you're on an Intel-based Mac, you don't have to deal with this. So essentially, if you're on an M1-based Mac, which a lot of us are these days, just open using Rosetta. It's very important. Once you do that, you come back in, open up Affinity Photo, and you're good to go. All right, guys, we're almost ready to dive into the plugin interface, but there's one more thing that I wanted to inject into the review that I thought could be beneficial to everyone. Specifically, though, this is for the Dehancer team. It's not a harsh criticism. It's just something that I noticed that I thought could be useful. When I first got started with the plugin, I realized really quickly after doing a few test runs that the image type had a huge bearing on the results. So I started to thumb through the quick guide. When I get over here to the quick guide, I look and I start looking at the recommended color settings and I flip through. There's a page for Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw, Lightroom Classic, Capture One Pro, and then there's just this note about how they can be processed. The photos can be processed with almost any available software on the market today. So I was looking for specifically something pertaining to Affinity Photo, but when I searched for it, nothing came back. So I just thought it would be great, especially, you guys have got Affinity Photo like right here on the cover of the quick guide. I thought maybe there should be a page in the color settings and file settings area, just specifically sort of outlining what might give us the best results within Affinity Photo. Having a page in there specifically dedicated to Affinity, just a few notes, would be really nice. So even though Dehancer can process compressed image formats, it's probably best to follow in line with the recommendations that they gave in the quick guide for the other applications. So the recommendation across the board is that you convert your image to a 16-bit RGB TIFF before you begin to do any work to it. So I've done that with this image here. This is a picture I took some maybe 10, 11 years ago. I was just walking down the sidewalk and I just thought there was something beautiful about this. I pulled up my iPhone and snapped it. I've done the conversion of my image. I've chosen it. We're good to go. Let's dehance this thing and see if we can't put something, some of our own feeling or input into it to try to create nostalgia. With the image selected, I go up to Filters, Plugins, Dehancer, Dehancer Film, and then the plugin will launch. Looks like I had already been playing around with this before. Usually when you open the app, your last edits appear. Here you can see that I applied Fujifilm Instax film stock to this particular image, which I actually kind of like. It's really cool. But before I get into the details of all this stuff, I'll just walk you through, I'll walk you around the park, so to speak, in the interface. So over here on the left, right away, you're greeted with the presets of the Dehancer team. But you can also create categories and manage them. Here are some presets that I've created. My favorites, which I didn't even know you could do until I was actually working on my own presets. It's not that I don't have any Dehancer favorites or anything like that. It's just, I was like, oh, I didn't know that you could put a heart here. I never actually like hovered over it. And I think it's kind of good and it's kind of bad. I didn't know that you could add favorites because I couldn't see the heart, but at the same time, it doesn't cover up the image. So that's really nice too. It's a trade-off, but yeah, it's there. You can add favorites. You can also import presets that someone shares with you, which I think is really cool. If you want to export your preset, you can export it here. You can download and import them here. You can save them here. Presets essentially are these film stock profiles, right? Combined with these control parameters and tweaks that you create to sort of create the type of image that you want to create. What I think it will be good to do. Okay, so again, I told you I would approach this review from the standpoint of a creative and not a photographer. I would highly encourage you to take a look at the quick guide here again. Although it was a little bit confusing at first because I didn't have a good understanding of what the color profile should be for Affinity specifically, once you get past this area, here you can just take a look. It shows you all the different setting controls that you can manipulate to get through the app. Don't worry, I'm gonna briefly skim over those. But what I really want to show you is here. This is what's really useful and important. It tells you what the typical photo editing workflow would be for their software, and also telling you how to understand what each of these parameters and the controls within them, exactly what they're affecting. I see here that there's a one-to-one, and there's also, you can toggle the preview on and off. You can get rid of the histogram. And up here, you can go into the settings. You can download more profiles. Here, if I go back, this takes me back to my last edits. This takes me back to the original. So it gets rid of all my edits and I can start from scratch again. Over here, the two main buttons on this plugin are the cancel and the OK. The cancel, basically, it's like, hey, I don't want to dehance this anymore. We're going to do something else. The OK is like, we're committed. Your edit is finished. You got to do all your editing within the plugin. It's kind of strange. It's almost like a separate application, right? But it's a plugin. So, you know, if you want to see a side-by-side, there are a few ways to do it. It would be cool if there was like a side-by-side button. It would be cool. Like there's a one-to-one. It would be cool if there was a side-by-side. That would be pretty interesting, but it's not really necessary. And I guess that's what this preview toggle is about. For example, let's just put a preset on here. Let's take a look at, I mean, you know, the one that I really love. I love the Orbital Chrome. Let's go check that out. Let's see. There it is. The UT21 Daylight Orbital Chrome expired in 1992. I love this preset. It is just gorgeous to look at. I don't know what it is about this, and it's actually really interesting. Just do a Google search for this. And you know what? I'll do it right now. Hold on 1 second. I want to show you guys. It's really interesting. All right, check this out. This was an article that came up about this particular film stock. And if you scroll through and look at some of these images. This is a blog. We should give a shout out here. What is the name of this? Analog Photo Lab. Really cool stuff. Of course, like I said, I'm sort of a novice when it comes to photography, so I've never heard of any of these websites. I'm learning all this stuff just recently, you know, but I came across this. Look at the way these photos are representing, you know. There's a little bit of damage on this one. It's a little bit older, obviously. You see where this is going, right? So the purpose of this thing, I think, is to really create very specific looking film emulations, stuff that people are obviously very passionate about and very fond of. You know, nobody puts this amount of effort into something if they didn't love it. That's another thing to consider about, you know, this plugin. The quality of the film, the grain, the way the light and shadow, the way the colors are sort of altered, it's all very consistent with the evidence, you know, with the actual film stocks. To me, like when I saw this picture here, the way these greens look, the way those shadows are, they're almost like a gray tone, you know, and you can see the grain in there. It's very consistently reproduced. I have done this sort of like side-by-side test with several different other film stocks that are in the Dehancer, and it always comes out like extremely consistent. And I'm like really just impressed. It's really crazy. My overall impressions of this plugin are, it's very well constructed. It's very well formatted. I love the way it's laid out. Everything is very clear. I love the controls. The controls are very simple. Let's see, go into something like the film grain. It's also very simple to understand, even from a layman's point of view. You know, like I understand about all these terms, being a graphic designer or, you know, someone who has been dabbling in graphic design for years now. I understand all of this. So none of the terminology in here is alien. It's just like, if you're not coming from a photography background, knowing how to apply these parameters to the photo that you're trying to create or the look that you're trying to create, that's a whole other issue. You need some education where that's concerned. But as far as being able to implement what you want, this app is extremely thorough. And the fact that they've got it working so well with Affinity Photo when it was designed to work with Photoshop is also another feat in itself. There are a few things. I wish I had like a scroll bar here. I wish there were better navigation controls for the film presets and the film profiles. I also wish that, for example, when you first open the plugin, there is all this stuff is expanded, right? All these menus are expanded, and you can't scroll down and see them while they're open, which is sort of a negative. But you know, if you had a scroll bar here, you could do that. So I just recommend, or I would say that for me personally, I kept wishing there was a scroll bar there, and I don't know if that's because I'm so used to it being in other applications, where you can just grab a scroll bar and get all the way down to the bottom really fast. It's like a minor inconvenience. It's just something that you get used to because everybody else has it. But maybe the solution is to just default the application with all of this stuff sort of collapse, and that way I can just sort of take each one as I want. But the problem comes when you've got somebody who's really sophisticated. Maybe they want to see like this, and this all expanded at the same time for some weird reason. They can't. So that's something to consider. I'll stop here with this. I'll start another example and just call it example 2, and we'll see what can happen. All right, so for this last example, I thought it would be fun to just show off a few of the different control parameters by basically trying to create a look from scratch. So escaping the presets and getting into our own creativity. I thought that would be pretty cool. So, you know, I was playing around before. Kodak Vision 3 was the last edit that I did. All I have to do to go back to my original image is click this, takes everything away, puts me back to scratch to my original. First things first, I need to select like a film stock. So I'll apply the film stocks, and then you have to sort of figure out like, what are you gonna do? You know, what do you wanna do? Let's try this one. For the only, I don't know what it is about the colors, but I really like them. I'm gonna stick with Fuji Color Superior. All right, so now we got our film profile in place. Let's look at some of these controls. It starts off, you have your the expand is always active. You can edit the black and white point of the photo. I think I like it just where it is. Let's just play with it for a second. It's a little too bright. It's a little bit too subdued. I think 100 is fine. Let's introduce a few things. Now, again, I'm not trying to faithfully recreate anything right now. I'm just trying to create like a nostalgia bomb of sorts, you know? So I think what I'll do is I'll jump right into the film grain right off the bat. Let's turn it up a little bit. And if I go 1:1, you can see what it's doing to the photograph. And you can see all these different color sort of flakes in there. That's really nice. I like this a lot. I think when we add some lighting effects, it's going to get really interesting. Let's go in and talk about halation. Now, a lot of times you get these really interesting like sort of halos of sort of maroon or orange color around things that are being hit by the sunlight specifically. In the daytime, usually what I notice is that if it has a reflective surface like a car or a window or a road sign or a flower petal or something like that, if it has some kind of translucency to it, it'll also get some halation. So what's cool, I think, is that if you pull out and you're like, okay, this is looking a little bit heavy duty right now. Like I see this sort of red vein, like it's not looking like flowers anymore. It's almost looking like a blood vessel in like a human circulatory system. It's a little bit strange. Let me see if I can go into mask mode. You can see exactly what's happening to the photograph. What I like about working in this mask mode is that I can see that I can edit the effect, not the photo. It's just coming into the branches. Petals don't seem to be affected so much right now. That looks really nice to me. It's no longer just like tracing the veins of the tree. It's sort of like there's a warm like heat sort of surrounding all the petals. I really like it. Let's go into the bloom. That is wild. Okay. Let's pull it back just a little bit. Now, which way do we want to go? Do we want to give this thing like, do we want to create like auras or do we want to create like haze? Let's see what happens when we go this way. Okay. So there's that. And then what I'll do is I think I'll add a vignette. I kind of like the way that looks. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll see, okay, how would this look printed on some paper? Let's check out the Fujifilm. Wow. I really like that. The 2383 feels more saturated. And this one feels even darker somehow. I'm gonna go with the Fujifilm. I don't know. I feel like that pretty much, kind of wraps up the the review. Let me just recap all of the different opinions and things that I have about it. As far as I have researched it, the several film stocks that I have dug into and really done some reading on, it seems that the presets that the Dehancer team came up with are extremely accurate. The level of detail that you can get into with the editing and the different parameters and factors that go into how a photograph actually looks when it's been developed in real life, it's really astounding to me. I love that you can save your presets. I love that you can share them with other people. I think this is definitely like an app that creates a community around it. I think that's really cool. And like I said in the last section, I think it's really important and really noteworthy that this app got me so excited about photography. I think that's one of the strongest points of the app. I would say that that needs to be played up a little bit more. I had no idea. I'd never heard of Dehancer before. And I guess that's just because most of my attention gets put into other things. I'm just now getting started with photography. Maybe a lot of you guys who are into photography, you've already known quite a bit about this. Aside from a few things about the interface, that were bothering me. I don't have any complaints about the way the app has functioned. Haven't had any real problems with it or anything like that. Um, yeah, it's beautiful, and I would say this whole experience has been really amazing. Dehancer gets a two thumbs up from me. I think it's really cool. So yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about it down in the comments. If you watched through the entire review, I hope you enjoyed it, and anything you want to enlighten me about or educate me about or even scold me on, I'll be happy to accept your comments down in the description. So I guess we'll move on to the iPad demonstration and then a little slideshow featuring some of the results that I got during the time that I was using the Dehancer. Nice. Just before we bring things to a close, I thought it would be cool to take a good look at the Dehancer app for iOS. I'm going to open it up here real quick. Now, I want to make it clear that this is an app that works on both iPhone and iPad. If I just get in here real quick and I can open it up on my iPhone, it's essentially exactly the same app. It's just that if you look closely here, you can use this film strip here to scroll through your photo library. I think it's also cool how it labels the image types for you. So you can see I have a bunch of TIFF images here. Basically what I did was I brought all of these photos into Affinity Photo, and then I exported them all as TIFF images, and I just saved them to my photos library so I could play with Dehancer while I was away from home. So this is going to be a different photo, but you can see here, essentially the interface looks almost the same, right? It's just that the controls are in different places just because of the size of the device and the nature of the device. Whereas this is like something I'm doing with my thumb here. And then, of course, you can see they've designed it really well. My right hand over here I'm able to scroll through the presets and film profiles. And then over here with my left hand, I can zoom into the image, get a better look at it, sort of, scroll around. Also, for example, here you can see the last time that I used the app, the Kodak Ektar 25 was the preset that I had put into place. If you want to see a before and after, you can just hold down your finger and it'll show you the original versus when you have edits like this. Really cool stuff. Down here on the bottom, we're able to save a preset that we create, or we can sort of look through the different categories of presets that we've created, sort them alphabetically or newest or oldest. We can delete presets, and we can also share presets that we create within this app. So you can create presets which you can then share and then use on your desktop, etc. Really cool stuff. Yeah, when we go to edit, you can see the toolbar on the bottom changes, and it has exactly the exact same controls in the exact same order that they appear on the desktop plugin. It's just all conveniently laid out down here on the bottom. And I have to say, I really like doing this with my fingertips and my pencil. I actually like it a bit more than I like doing things with the mouse, but that's me. I'm an iPad junkie. I have this personal theory that like we're all going to be moving towards interfaces that we can manipulate with our fingers and hands, even if it is AR, if it's not on a big screen like a giant iPad or like some sort of weird iMac iPad hybrid, we're going to be doing it in AR, which I don't really like the idea of AR, but that's a topic for another day. Anyway, I love using this app with my hands. It's really great. So yeah, you can see these little blue dots. Those are parameters that are currently active on this particular preset, right? But all the exact same controls are here. All the parameters, it's all the same. Nothing's alien. They haven't changed any of that stuff. If I want to see the histogram, I can pull that up. If I want to, revert and go back to the original image, I can do that. When I go back to edit, I can just click here, reset everything, right? I wish that that little reset button looked the way that it did on the desktop for consistency. There's a little bit of a sort of disconnect there. The imagery is not the same. The iconography, like I wish this was the no effects sign or the no smoking sign. Some of that, like at first it was like, is this the same? But it's not that big of a deal at all. It's just something that I noticed that you guys may want to take note of over at Dehancer. It works on compressed photos. That's another thing. Oh, and also, if you notice, if I come out, I don't have any videos in here, but I want to mention that it does work on video, but there's a caveat. I have tried it on videos that are about 2 to 5 minutes long with varying degrees of success. I would say that it's not really meant for video and it's not really optimal for editing videos. You can dehance videos with this thing, but I wouldn't recommend they be longer than any longer than a minute. If you want to use this for a video, you're not going to be able to see how it looks as it plays through every frame. You've got to find a look that you think is appropriate and then export and then wait and then take a look. And then the editing flow for the video is not as good as it is for photos, of course, because there are more factors involved. So that's something to consider. But yeah, the app is gorgeous. It works really well. And if you guys, it's free to try. They give you a week free trial, and then there are different tiers of licenses that you can purchase. So, you know, if you are really fanatical about this kind of stuff, you can pay the big bucks and get the lifetime subscription, or you can just get it for a monthly subscription until you don't need it anymore, or what have you. But when I export this image and throw it on the desktop, which I'll actually do right now since we can see my desktop here. Let's check it out. What I'll do is I'll just throw this Kodak Ektar preset on here. I'll export this image to my desktop. I'll airdrop it, and then let's take a look at it on the desktop to see about the quality. Okay, guys, so I successfully airdropped it to my desktop, and now I just have it open in preview. I thought that'd be good enough. We didn't have to actually open up Affinity Photo to get in there, although the control system would be probably a lot smoother. But anyway, I felt like this would be fine. Let's zoom in here really quickly. It looks great, right? This app is incredible. It's really awesome. I loved the plugin. I thought it was incredible. You guys, I won't say much more about it other than Dehancer gets a 2 thumbs up from me. I am feeling so glad that I was able to discover this app and plug in and sort of dive a little bit more deeply into photography and get a little bit more excited about it. It was really cool. So listen, with that, right after this, the slideshow will start, and you guys can see some of the different results that I got while I was playing with Dehancer for the last few weeks. So guys, enjoy.
Till the light came up. Do you remember that? Do you remember that song?
Yeah, I do.
Song? Because I still sing that song. I first heard it from you. That was the first time. Remember?
I'm through with love. I'll never fall again.
guys, with that, it's time to bring things to a close. To Dehancer, thank you for the opportunity. It ended up being an unexpected pleasure. To everyone, take care of yourselves, keep working hard, stay positive, and thank you for watching.